Welcome to another episode of the Root of Everything podcast. I just gotta say, it means so much to be here again. The amount of growth I've seen in this brand, this podcast, this movement has been more than I could have ever expected. And more than anything, I'm loving what I'm doing, and it means a lot because it's funny. I just did a TikTok today. I do a TikTok every day. If y'all haven't checked it out for the Root of Everything, go check us out on TikTok. I also post it on Instagram, but I said one of the main things that are rare in certain people, and one of the things you have to keep people around you, are people who support you from the jump. People who support you from the beginning, because it shows they truly love you and they truly love what you're doing. And it shows everybody who's listened to this, you truly love what I'm doing, and it means the world to me that y'all love what I'm doing. And I love that I'm doing this for y'all and for myself. And today at the Root of Everything podcast, we're talking about something that I think kind of brings everything together when we're talking about everything we've kind of talked about in terms of living in your passion and doing what you love every single day to reach your infinite potential. And when it comes to that, there's some things that can make you kind of come off wrong, if that makes sense. And there's something I've kind of recognized, and we're trying to kind of give you a healthy balance on how you want to develop your mindset. And one thing that kind of comes off sometimes when you understand that you have infinite potential, when you understand that when you decide to live in your passion, you are a special person, and everybody's special. But when you realize that, sometimes you can come off as arrogant. Sometimes you can come off as seeming like you're the only one, like you're God's gift to the earth. Don't get me wrong, you are a gift from God, but everybody is that. And we have to balance the element of being arrogant and humbleness, because you can also be too humble. You can also be too humble at times. You can also be too arrogant. So we're going to put those together. And then we're also going to go into life being unpredictable and you having full control of your life. So stay tuned in and we'll get right into it.
Gunshot. Friends turn enemies, lovers turned into flings. As I grow older, I'm cutting off these loose strings and moving on to better things, hoping it'll better me. Some things you just know and some things I never seen. Some peasants will get crowned, some kings won't ever be. Evidently, I'ma shine inevitably. It ain't a young out that's better than me. And when they say they go hard, I laugh hysterically.
It's time to balance arrogance and humbleness. One thing when you're developing a mindset of living in your passion and knowing that you have infinite potential and knowing that you're a special person, you can come off as arrogant. And today I want to help y'all blend the two of arrogance and humbleness. Now, I'll let you know this for sure 100%. When you're developing this mindset, people will think you're arrogant at times. People will think you're better than them when maybe you're not even that. You know, nobody can truly know. We talked about this in some of the previous episodes about how everybody has a different definition of success because no one truly knows who you are. And we talked about that in almost every single one of the episodes. Nobody ever truly knows who you are. Nobody can truly call you arrogant if they don't know your why and why you're doing things. And so sometimes when you're walking in your purpose, when you're walking in your passion, you can come off as arrogant. And for me, I've been called arrogant in my life, and I didn't want that. I didn't want somebody to think I was an arrogant person. I know I was an arrogant person. Maybe I was at the time, and I have to work on that. But what I want you to know is there's going to be times where people think you're arrogant, and you have to understand the way society is set up, the way society was made was for people not to realize their potential, and for most people to never know what their potential is. I mean, I sound crazy right now saying that I have infinite potential. That sounds insane, and I believe every single one of you have infinite potential. But for me to understand that, and for me to understand that that's something that not everybody understands, means there's going to be some people who think I'm arrogant for thinking I have infinite potential. So understand, when you're walking in that passion, when you know you have infinite potential and you're growing every day because you're living in your passion, you're going to seem arrogant. But that doesn't mean you should be arrogant. Let me make that really clear, because you shouldn't want to be arrogant. You shouldn't want to be arrogant for the reason of somebody thinking you're arrogant. I don't really care about if somebody thinks I'm arrogant. I care about just being humble for myself. I want to be humble for myself so I realize the value of me being right here. You know, there's a lot of reasons I could go on forever on why I should be humble, why I should be thankful I'm right here in this seat. You know, we talked about in the infinity decimal how many times you could cut things in half to get to zero, which you really can't. So there's so many things in front of me that got me to this place I am right now. There's so many reasons. If it wasn't for my father, it wasn't for my dad, if it wasn't for the support of my girlfriend, it wasn't for somebody laying their life on the line for people who look like me to have the opportunities to chase their passions or to do things they loved, I wouldn't have this opportunity. So if you want to really hit your potential, you have to balance arrogance and humbleness. And I said that weird. You have to balance arrogance and humbleness, because you have to understand, and this is the key. We all know we have infinite potential if you're agreeing with me right now. We all know that. But the key to being in balance with arrogance and humbleness is understanding that not only are you special and not only do you have infinite potential, but everybody has infinite potential. Everybody has that in them. Everybody has that one thing that makes them special inside of them. It's just a matter of time till they find it. So when you see that person maybe not living in passion, maybe they haven't listened to the Root of Everything podcast yet. You got lucky. You knew me or you found me on Instagram or whatever. You got lucky. You know what I'm saying? But don't mix that up with that person just not being on your level. And I used to have that problem at times. I used to think, man, but I was able to go to a certain school at an early age. I was able to have a father who could peep me on some game early on at some times. So value everything in your life because it's going to allow you to keep going. If you get to a point where you really think you're above everybody, you're going to lose the reason why you're even doing something. You're going to lose the true purpose of your life because then you're really going to lose motivation because then you think you can just walk around and just do whatever you want and you're still going to be popping like you are now. But you're only going to be popping as much when you're doing it for the real reason. And so understand that, yeah, I got to walk around and be confident. I'm a firm believer on being confident. You got to be confident, and it's going to come off as arrogant to people. But that doesn't mean to actually be arrogant. It just means you might come off as arrogant. You have to mix your arrogance with your humbleness to become who you want to be, and that's to reach your infinite potential. So remember, you reaching your potential, you living in your potential that's going to one day be infinite, understand that that doesn't put you over everybody. And understand that that humbleness is also going to help you get there. And it's nothing wrong with anybody thinking anything of you because of this mindset. Just understand and do it for the right reasons, and you'll be all right. So balance those two. Just wanted to make it clear. Now we're going to hop into the next segment. You have to balance the mentality of knowing that you have full control of your life and life is unpredictable. You know, I'm a big person on belief. I'm tricking myself to believe in what I'm doing every day. I'm tricking myself to believing I'm going to achieve my goals. I'm always tricking myself because I understand for things to be possible, I have to first believe it. But I also have the balanced mindset to understand life is unpredictable. And I understand that life is always going to put me on the right path that is meant for me. All I can do is live in my passion and things will come. And sometimes I think this mindset can kind of get confusing because I'm telling you to believe in what's going to happen, but I'm not telling you that you'll be able to know each step in your life. You know, there's a lot of times in my life where I thought I knew where I wanted to go, and really that's not where I needed to go. And then it shifted me to somewhere else. But because I was passionate, because I was committed to a life of doing what I loved, I was always open to finding other things I loved. And another thing I wanted, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to this mindset. I want you to know that you can have more than one passion. I sometimes I'm afraid I'm telling y'all that you only got one passion. You could have more than one passion, and your passion doesn't even have to be something people understand. It could be a mix of two things that generally is one passion. It could be a lot of things, but understand that you don't have full control and you do have full control, if that makes sense. So I can live in my passion, but also understand that life is going to take me on a different route. And understand, just because you believe in it doesn't mean it's not going to happen because life takes you on a different route. Continue to believe if you know that's what you're supposed to do. Just understand you might have to take a couple extra steps than you expected. And when you get there and you maybe took a step that you didn't expect, that maybe even got it quicker to your goal, understand it's not luck. I'm a big believer on there's really no such thing as luck when it comes to like achieving your goals, because I'm a big person on I put myself in this situation, so therefore I reap the rewards of this situation. You know, if I keep shooting the basketball a billion times and then it finally goes in, it's not luck. I just shot it long enough so the percentage would give me the shot to go in. An example I had written down before this was to say, like, if you were at a basketball court and you're just shooting full court shots up every day, you're just shooting them up and you can't get one to go. And you never hit that shot. And you're like, I know I'm meant to hit this shot full court. I know it's a weird metaphor, but you're just shooting the basketball. And one day you go in and the court's demolished. The court is demolished. There's nothing you can do. You'll never be able to shoot that ball in that court. And so you really wanted to hit the full court shot, but you can just go to another gym and you shoot it some more and eventually it goes in. So you tell me if that's luck. One, your life got put on a different path. You had to go to a different court, but you kept shooting regardless. And sometimes in our lives, we think, I'm going to make this shot on this basket. But there's always a different arena that you might have to do it in. There's always a different way you might have to do it. There's always a different path for everything. But understand that You don't control everything, but you control what you believe in. And I'm a big believer in that. And sometimes you might believe you're going to get somewhere. You might believe this is what I want to do. This is my purpose. But understand you have to live through passion. I'm big on, y'all heard me, I'm big on finding your passion before you find your purpose, because your passion will lead you to your purpose. And so for me, I grew up, y'all know me. If y'all know me in terms of college, I majored in sport and rec management. And coming out of high school, I wanted to work in sports. That was my MO. I wanted to work in sports. I was gaining experience in sports. I kind of mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but basically I wanted to work in sports. And going into my sophomore year, I think it was a year ago, I'm a junior now, and I was applying for internships going into the summer. And that's what I wanted to do. That's what I thought was my next step to achieving my goals, which I thought was my passion. But life gave me a curveball. COVID-19 happened. It gave everybody a curveball. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because I'm not the type of person to just sit there on my butt. I was like, what am I going to do? And you know what life really said? You got something bigger in your life. You got something more important in your life, something you will love even more. And now I'm sitting here on, what is this, the 8th episode, 7th episode? You know what I'm saying? If COVID-19 didn't happen, I wouldn't be here right now. Now, I could have said, man, I thought I had full control of my life. I thought I was living in my passion. I thought this is what I believed in. Why is it not happening, Jamar? Jamar said on the Root of Everything podcast, if I believe, it'll happen. But you have to believe in your passion. You have to believe in the process. And my process was derailed for a better highway, faster route to where I really needed to be. And now I'm doing what I love. I'm doing something I love 10 times more than what I was doing before. But I couldn't see that unless life was unpredictable. And life is unpredictable. And now I'm here. So I want y'all to understand, when you're going on these journeys with your life, that you can have more than one passion. And you can have a passion that you think is your it, and it really isn't. I used to play baseball every single day of my life since I was little. I went back home for Christmas break, and I picked up a bat for the first time in 2 years. I'm not saying I don't like baseball, but it's not my purpose. So when you're living in passion, not just your passion, but when you're living in passion, you're open to all passions. And I never thought I'd be sitting here in front of a camera with a microphone with lights on both sides. I'd be speaking on a podcast about living your passion. Not in a million years. I used to think all the time, what am I going to do when I grow up? And now, as a 20-year-old, if I was looking back on 10-year-old Jamar, I'd be so proud of myself, because I just let it happen. I was just being passionate. I let that thing happen. And sometimes we get caught up in trying to fulfill that title that the world is trying to put us on. But understand that life is unpredictable. But you have to believe first to achieve your dreams. But understand things can happen, and trust the process. Be passionate, love what you do, and life will put you on the path right for you. So that's it. That's all I got for the Root of Everything podcast this week. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Root of Everything podcast. If you enjoyed any moment, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and rate us on all podcast platforms. And don't forget to go to our website, rootofeverything.com, and hit our button, Weekly Root, for our weekly newsletter of all our content.